All right, and we're live. Let them know we're live. Hey, Shandy. What are you doing? Huh? What are you doing? Hello, hello. I am Kyle Shannon. This is the AI Learning Lab. My hair is crazier tonight than it was last night. Last night was special. Hey, everybody. How are you doing? I am live talking about AI and apparently hair care product, which I am in need of. Yeah, this is like two toupees got in a fight and I lost. Yeah, if you want to talk about AI, some interesting stuff happened today. Stability AI launched a new image model that does text, so you can put in text. It's called, what the heck's it called? I forget. Hold. I can figure this out. I have the technology. Deep Floyd. How could you forget that? Deep Floyd. Let's go look at Deep Floyd. Deep Floyd is this new image model that we will accept their cookies. High degree of photorealism, the ability to do text, so check out these things. Isn't that cool? Can I make that bigger? Make Floyd deep again. So it is successfully doing text on images. So that's out. That's out in developer release, so it's on Hugging Face and it's on GitHub. And I'm sure it'll be rolled into other tools incredibly quickly like everything else is. So that happened. And then what else did we have happen today? We had Timothy, what's his last name? Was it Timothy? Let's see. Godfather of AI. Godfather of AI. Yeah, Timothy Hinton, or Geoffrey Hinton. Geoffrey Hinton is the guy that basically invented a lot of the neural net things. He won the Turing test in 2018 for his work on artificial intelligence. He quit Google today so that he can spend more time warning the world of the dangers of the stuff he created. So, yeah, that's a little terrifying, but yeah, quit Google. Indeed, indeed. If you have any questions, feel free to ask any questions you have about AI. I'm happy to talk about AI. That's what we do here. It's the AI Learning Lab. I'm particularly interested in generative AI. I'm also particularly interested in practical uses of it, like actually applying this stuff, getting curious about it. I think that the amount of disruption that AI is going to cause is going to be significant. IBM today announced, I think it's over 5 years, they're going to reduce 7,500 jobs or 7,600 jobs and replace them with AI. Now, coming from IBM, they they made a lot of fanfare about Watson AI a bunch of years ago, and it didn't go so well. So that one feels to me like a marketing push as much as anything. Like, hey, we're good at AI too, and we're going to replace a bunch of jobs. But I think it's kind of against their brand. Are we headed toward Matrix level event? I don't think. Well, some would argue we're already in a matrix, so we're already in a simulation. I don't believe that, but I suppose time travel is possible, all that sort of stuff. I don't think we're in a matrix situation anytime soon, but I think that we're if you look at some of the plugins like Stability or OpenAI today launched a plugin called Code Interpreter. Let me go check this out. OpenAI Code Interpreter that is astonishing. Let me see if I can find it. Code Interpreter. Here's the thing. One of these has a movie. Is this it? Yeah, this is it here. Um, it You can upload a 100 megabyte spreadsheet file, and it basically becomes a data analyst, not a tool that a data analyst would use. You can upload a massive spreadsheet of data and then just say, what's interesting about this data? And it will tell you. And then you can say, make me charts of the most interesting trends you see comparing this, that, and the other. And it will just do that for you. It'll write Python code to generate the charts and graphs. It's just remarkable. So, let me make this bigger. There it is, drawing a graph. Is it still playing? I think it's still playing. Oh, yeah. And then plot a tangent to the line, and it's calculating, and it wrote the code. So there's your tangent to the line. So these tools are just getting so remarkably, they're getting so remarkably sophisticated in such a short amount of time that things are just going crazy. Let's see. What questions can I answer? AI is the future. Yes, I agree. Robot. Yeah, lots of robots. The agents are going to be our friends. We hope. I don't think we're headed to a Matrix-style event, at least not in the next 10 years. The next 10 years are going to be fun and interesting, but incredibly disruptive. I need to figure out how to start monetizing ChatGPT. Any ideas? Talk to ChatGPT about that. Seriously, tell ChatGPT to act like an entrepreneur and tell it your skills, tell it what you're passionate about, tell it what you want it to do, and have it come up with business ideas for you, and then start asking it questions. Here's a good way you can interact with ChatGPT is almost treat it like a co-founder. If you want to start making money with ChatGPT, use ChatGPT as your co-founder. Tell it what you're interested in. Tell it what you're good at. Have it do the stuff you're not good at. Have it come up with ideas for you. And then why don't you become the agent of ChatGPT rather than the other way around, and just start doing what it tells you to do. See where you end up. Am I excited about Elon's X Corp? I'm a little cynical about it just because he's so competitive with OpenAI. He doesn't like where Sam Altman's taking OpenAI and ChatGPT. So he signs on to this 6-month pause letter that, a bunch of industry luminaries signed on to. And then a week later, he starts X.AI and has 10,000 GPUs delivered to Twitter headquarters so he can start building his own model. So I'm a little cynical about it. He's just competitive. He, however, is a guy that gets things done, and he builds things, right? He's building rockets that are going to fly to Mars. If you saw the Starship launch, it was truly remarkable. And, he's kind of single-handedly made electric cars a reality. So the guy can get stuff done. So I have no doubt that he's going to turn X.AI into something, but he's going to be fairly far behind the development curve, and he's probably going to be, one of what feels like 6 or 7 major players, and those always whittle down to 3. I think OpenAI, because they've got such a head start and their tech is so good, and I actually believe Sam Altman is a really good CEO. I think they're going to be there. Microsoft is going to back them. So let's roll those two together. So the Microsoft OpenAI thing, that lives as one competitor. Google's certainly going to be a competitor. AWS because they've got Amazon, because they've got AWS, and they're going to roll all these multiple models into it. It's going to be a player. You've got Hugging Face is going to be a player. You've got Stability is going to be a player. You've got Apple, who hasn't really announced anything yet. And then you've got X.AI. So that's, I think, 7 that I just went through right there. So going to be interesting to see. But I wouldn't underestimate Musk. I mean, the man's a flipping machine. He might be a machine. Maybe he's a robot. Maybe Elon Musk is the ultimate AI. Let's see. I like GPT Hustles. I don't know what that is, but I assume that's GPT Hustles. That's probably for the person that was starting a business. Yeah, I'm sure. So if you know Mackenzie Bose, who's got a channel here on TikTok, he's got that company GPT Boss, where you hire virtual employees that are all chatbots that he sort of pre-prompted to be really good at their particular tasks. So if you want to start something, you could use that as well. We're in a system within a man's systems. Meta is a system within a man's system, further from the source. I don't know what that means, but okay. Copyright issues. Yes, copyright issues are going to be a fucking disaster. Let's see, where are we? Oh, we got a lot of questions tonight. Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Copyright issues, effects on data sets. I have already noticed this myself. Well, yeah, so a lot of the early models were just trained, you might call it irresponsibly, but I would say they were just trained in in kind of a scrappy way. They just got them out there. And I think it's one of the reasons Stability open sourced all of their image models, because I have a feeling that they had a sneaky suspicion they knew they were going to get sued. And even if they get shut down because of these lawsuits, their models are now open sourced. I think they did that for a reason. And then you look at a company like Adobe, and Adobe's Firefly, they trained all their models on open source photography or images, and or images they had the rights to because of Adobe stock, right? So the whole thing that Adobe's putting together is they're putting together a safe for commercial training set. I talked to a buddy of mine that works at Deloitte Digital today, and they're not going to use image generation models that are going to potentially get them or their clients in trouble. They're just not going to do it. But Adobe comes along and they make it safe to do generative AI, image generation and copy generation and whatever, film editing, video generation. Big corporations are going to use it. So I think we'll start to see lots and lots of models. There will be Wild West open source models that have all the stolen stuff. There will be, OpenAI and Stability will cut deals with the big stock houses ultimately. And I think all the attribution stuff is going to be dealt with, and all the compensation stuff is going to be dealt with, but it's going to take years. So yeah, crazy stuff. Text to video, auto GPT, and AGI. Yeah, those are some of the biggies. The text to video it's remarkable. If you saw the Bud Light commercial and the pizza commercial that were done with the text to video stuff, it's limited to 3-second clips right now, which is why all those commercials have the funny clips. And then if you look at the jaws of people as they're chewing the pizza, it's disturbing, right? But if you look at where image generation was a year ago and where it is today, that's what's going to happen with video generation. So you'll start to see 10-second clips and then 20-second clips and then, continuous scenes, and you'll start to see improvements in continuity of jaws and things like that. So that's going to get way better. Auto GPT, if you don't know that stuff, is the autonomous agents. So this is a series of tools strung together that you give it a goal, and you say, for example, I don't know, go find me the revenue of my top 10 competitors and find me all of their taglines and come up with a marketing plan to, go after them in the marketplace or something like that. You basically just give it a goal. It then assigns itself, it uses ChatGPT to write itself tasks, and then it goes and does those tasks. It says, I need to go search on Google for this, and I need to go to Wolfram Alpha to do that math, and I need to go to OpenAI to, come up with the words, whatever it is, and they're autonomous agents. They just go. Now, the thing about AutoGPT, it got to 100,000 stars on GitHub in a remarkably shorter amount of time, 3 weeks or something like that. It's only been around for 5 weeks. So this is brand new technology, and it doesn't work all that well. It crashes most of the time. And then AGI, it seems like these autonomous agents, the ability for large language models to use tools and then to take action on behalf of you starts to take us in a direction toward AGI. And if you read the Microsoft paper, there's a Microsoft paper out analyzing the results of GPT-4 queries, and that talks about it is showing early signs of AGI. The problem with AGI, I said this last night, is that there's not a very clear definition of it. Nobody really knows what it means. It basically means they get way smarter than we are. I would argue that these things are already pretty much smarter than we are, even though they hallucinate a lot and are not all that accurate. They're pretty remarkable. Biggest difference from free and paid version of ChatGPT. Okay, so if you pay the $20, I think you get on faster servers. So I think it's faster. The 3.5 ChatGPT 3.5. I'm on Plus, and it's really really fast. And then you also get access to GPT-4. And if you sign up for their wait lists for plugins and things like that, I think if you're on a paid thing, you'll probably get preferential treatment. But I'm on their wait list. I have access to some plugins, but not the ones I want. There's some new ones that came out that I don't have access to, and that's making me cranky. However, Poe.com is free. There's also an iOS app and an Android app for Poe. That's created by Quora, and that gives you access to GPT-3, 3.5, GPT-4, and Anthropic's Claude model. That Poe, you can also do your own chatbots. I did some chatbots. I did a bunch of historical figures, like if you go to Poe.com, Poe.com/I am Shakespeare, that's a Shakespeare bot I did, and then I did I am Steve Jobs, and I did I am Emily Dickinson, and I am Virginia Woolf. There's a bunch of them that I did. So that's Poe. And then also Bing.com, if you use the new Edge browser, it's got ChatGPT built into it. It's based on GPT-4. So with Bing and with Poe, you can use GPT-4 for free. So you don't have to do the paid version of ChatGPT from OpenAI. I'm doing it just because they're the ones that created the technology, and I want to have access as soon as possible. I use ChatGPT all the time, so yeah. It blew up and is an environmental disaster. I don't know what blew up and is an environmental disaster. We will figure it out, I assume. I end up staring at the screen because I can't think of what to type. Okay, that's a great question. It's not really a question, it's a statement. But here's the thing that made the biggest difference for me. I totally have the same thing. I sit in front of a tool that can do anything, and I'm like, what do you type? And, you can only type, make me an M&M rap so many times. It's good at that, by the way. Or write me a song so many times. Here's what I recommend. I created a thing a few months back called the 2023 Smart Challenge. And what it is you pick 2 projects, one for you personally and one for your business, your community, or your family. And use ChatGPT to do that project. So the project for you personally might be come up with a training program, get yourself in shape and have ChatGPT be your fitness coach. If it's something for work, I don't know, maybe solve a problem. Maybe someone wants to hire a writer, and you say, hey, let me give it a shot with ChatGPT. Pick a specific project and solve the problem with ChatGPT. That's when I really discovered the power of it. Because when I was just using it kind of like a fancy Google search engine, it was just, I kept going like, what's the point? What's the point? And the minute I put it toward solving a problem for someone else or a specific thing for myself, then it became easy. Then you're just sort of seeing if you can get the answers to the problem. So I would strongly recommend doing that. What I call ChatGPT and AI, well, it's machine learning. I think AI is how would I define AI and machine learning? Yeah, these are all machine learning. Artificial intelligence, AGI, again, the definitions of all that stuff is incredibly imprecise right now. I don't really think it matters all that much what we call it. AI is easy to say and easy to remember and easy for people to at least conceptually get their heads around, right? They've heard about AI in the movies, which is why most people's default is the robots are going to kill us, right? Because the movies told us that the robots are going to kill us. I don't think the robots are going to kill us. I also think that individual contributions right now, people that use these AI tools early, we're early right now, we're very early, I think are going to have a disproportionate positive impact on the future direction of AI. I think if we sit back and wait for it, there's a much higher chance that the evil bots will do their worst, or bad people with AI. I mean, that's an interesting thing about AI, is that the AI isn't this stuff. These tools aren't prompting themselves. Human beings with intention are using these tools to do lots and lots of things. And so when someone says, "Oh, AI made that art," no, an artist who went in and figured out what to ask for and did it, 1,000 times before they came up with something they liked. The art is in the intention. Very similar to when cameras first came out. Traditional artists said that's not art. The box is making the image. People aren't making the image. It took a lot of years, decades, for people to recognize that composing the shot and the lens you choose and the film that you use and the darkroom techniques to develop the film that you used is the intention of the artist, right? So even though technically the camera makes the art in a film camera, it is the photographer that is the intention behind it. I feel exactly the same way about this AI stuff. Twitter's data will train the best AI. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Elon he's going to build this AI system, and he's got all the Twitter data. I don't know if it'll do the best AI. It will certainly be interesting AI. Bard is Google's tool. It's not as good as ChatGPT in my experience. I still think GPT-4 is by far the best thing out there that I've used. Let's see. No free Auto GPT. Yeah, I think Auto GPT is free. Just go to GitHub and it's on there, as is Baby AGI. There's a bunch of those things. Now, you need API keys for OpenAI, so you probably need a paid OpenAI account, and then you need an API key for Pinecone database for the LangChain part of AutoGPT. So you probably need some licenses in there, but it's not like you have to pay for it. The overhead with AutoGPT and all these other things is you need to be decent enough at coding to put them together. But again, you can have ChatGPT help you do that. I'm going to go broke trying to figure out what program to use. Totally. There are so many $10 and $7 and $20 monthly subscriptions now. I've kind of really backed off. I think there's going to be thousands of tools that are based on this stuff. So I'm just sort of looking at my core models, right? So OpenAI, GPT-3, 3.5, and 4. I think the Anthropic model is really interesting, Claude. So I'm paying attention to that. I am paying for image generation because Midjourney, in my opinion, is by far the best image generation tool, and I want to use that. But you can install Stable Diffusion on a Google Colab server. I think you might need to do $10 a month for that. But I'm just kind of limiting it to image generation and word generation right now, and I'm not straying too far beyond that because there's just going to be so many pieces of crap software out there trying to get our money. It's really confusing right now. Cheers. Hello. Cheers to you too. What the hell happened to your hair? I know, right? Jesus Lord. Look at this. Look at this. I don't know. I guess the glue broke. It's shiny. Y'all are swell. Let's see. Wow, there's a lot of questions tonight. Thank you. This is awesome. I'm on. Okay. Jesus. I can't keep up. Sorry, I'm going back. I'm trying to catch up to where I was. GPT hustlers. Thank you for the little heart. We're in a system. Yeah, that's. Oh, I went way back too far. Okay. Hold on. Hold, please. Elon is a massive database to tap from. Tesla is a database by itself. Yeah, all the driving data. It's got to be absolutely remarkable. Yeah, I mean, listen, Elon's going to do something really interesting with AI. Don't get me wrong. I just think it was a bit of a cynical move to start that company a week after he called for a 6-month delay in AI development. I heard that Stable Diffusion was running out of money. Doesn't surprise me. They're in lawsuits right now. I think they are open sourcing their technology because they recognize they might not be long for this world as a company just because of all the lawsuits. AI tech in the hands of bad actor nations. Yeah, that's going to happen. And I mean, the scary news is that bad actors are going to do, they've got these incredibly powerful tools they're going to do things with. But the white hats also have access to these tools. So I think the good and bad wars keep happening. And they've just got more powerful tools. I'm just trying to keep my head below all the sensational nonsense. If someone takes out a nuclear plant or blows something up, then I think you'll see people panic. But until then, I'm just keeping my head down, trying to do work and find interesting things to do. Beginner work resources for new SWEs. I don't know what an SWE is. So I don't know what that means. So if you re-ask that. And actual literature or book recommendations. Nothing written right now. Like things are changing so fast. Like just follow Twitter. Find people on Twitter that you like. Follow Twitter channels or TikTok channels that you like of people that are talking about this stuff. Rachel, what's Rachel's last name? Is it Brown? Mackenzie Bowes, if you're a little more technical, he talks about his development process. Paul Raitzer with the AI Marketing Institute's really good. He's really smart, really up on this stuff. And he's been at this thing for 5 years. He's been talking about this generative AI stuff for like 5 years. He's really good. So there's nothing to read right now. There's no experts, right? This stuff's changing so fast. AutoGPT's 5 weeks old, right? So, what the fuck happened to your hair? It's a mess. Neuralink will turn me into an AI, and I will do it willingly. I think a lot of people will. Yeah. Elon talks about like the biggest constraint right now is the interface between, your brain and your fingers and the phone interface. And if you just have inputs directly in and out of your brain, it'll be a lot faster. And prior to AI, I didn't quite get what the implications of that were. But if you look at some of the research that they're doing now, where they're looking at active MRI brain scans, where as people are reading blogs, they're sort of dumping their brain scans into machine learning models, and then you can think of a story and it will understand the story that you're thinking about. That just came out yesterday. That research. So when you have a direct brain interface, there's going to be some pretty remarkable stuff that happens. Health as well. Paralysis fixed and all sorts of crazy things. Already noticed homogeneous, natural, that stable diffusion has gone. Yeah. So here's the thing about when you democratize creative tools. And everyone has access to the tools, you're going to see a sameness. If you go to, there's a site called lexica.art, which is kind of like Google for stable diffusion images. And you can go search for, in fact, I'll go search for it here so you can see it. Let's go to lexica.art. And it's just a bunch of images. And what's cool about them is any image that you find that you like, you can click on it and it shows you, here's what the prompt was for that image, and then you can open it in the editor and you can do your own version of it. So let me log in here with the Google machine. Hang on. We'll do this, dude. We'll go open an editor, generate, and so now it's going to generate 4 versions based on that prompt. But that prompt is actually really simple. So I think what you're seeing is, those are cool. Yeah, this is pretty neat. Yeah, that's pretty good. The reason you're seeing the sameness is just lack of imagination. So like with all creative tools, when Photoshop first came out, everyone thought they were a photo editor, and then it turned out that some people are better at that than others. We're going to say the exact same thing with generative image tools and video tools and animation tools, where people with an actual creative vision are going to do interesting stuff with this because they're actually trying to accomplish something. They've got a goal, they're trying to accomplish it, they're using these tools to do it. The sameness is just lack of imagination. But we're going to see an absolute tidal wave of content that looks interesting at first and then is all boring. AI robotic humanoids will be performing all the jobs in the future, and then what will the masses do? Well, listen, the same thing happened when the tractor came out, and they said, oh, the tractor's going to do all the farming. What will the people do? Well, they moved to the cities and came up with new jobs in the cities. We're human beings. We're not just going to sit around doing nothing, right? I feel like there's this instinct to go to this dystopian future because that's what Hollywood told us it'll be like. there's a very real possibility that what these AI tools do is automate out all of the crap that we don't like and free us to do the stuff we do like. It may allow us to reconnect as humans. It may allow us to get back to nature. It may allow all sorts of positive impacts. There's a thing that's also going to happen where there's absolutely going to be disruption in knowledge work and creative work, and a lot of categories of work that we thought were not susceptible to all of this stuff are going to be very susceptible to it. Thanks, Octavino, for the Earths. I don't know what they mean. I'm kind of new to the live thing, but thank you for giving me those. So there's going to be a lot of disruption, right? People are going to lose jobs. But the people that lose jobs also have access to all these tools. So what also is going to happen is people that lose jobs, they're going to get pissed off, or they're going to get inspired. They're going to be like, I hated that job anyway. And now they've got access to these tools, and they're going to be like, you know what I've always wanted to do? I've always wanted to do a movie or animation or art or write or start a company. And I think that we will see really interesting companies started in the next 2 years from the displaced people. So I don't think we're going to a future where we're all just sitting around, wondering what the hell to do because the robots are doing our jobs. That's a very scarcity mindset, and I think we're moving into a world of abundance where the AI is going to, sort of increase the output of humanity dramatically without us having to increase our population or the amount of work we do. It's got all of the negative possibilities, but I think lots of people are talking about that. I'm trying to focus on the other side. 11 Labs, really, really impressed by the voice synthesis and all the naturalness. Yeah, it's crazy. And I think I don't know if it's 11 Labs that has this. I think it's another one I was looking at. But you can select from like 20 different emotions, like a whisper or angry or, sad or happy or laughing. I think what's going to happen very shortly is these voice synthesis tools will not only be able to synthesize your voice, but they'll read the script, right? They'll read the text of whatever they're about to say, and they will figure out where in there emotionally the voice should be, right? So it will start to modulate, like humans do, where it needs to get quiet and where it needs to get excited and animated based on the content of the thing. So I think you're going to see those synthesized voices get incredibly good very, very quickly. And I think 11 Labs is killing it. It's a pretty remarkable set of technologies that they've built. If you've looked at if you saw that song that was released with Drake and The Weeknd, it was an AI generated song with synthesized Drake and The Weeknd that got like 600,000 views on Spotify in the first 24 hours. It was, it was like a hit song, but it was fan generated art. I think we're going to see a lot of that stuff. So a little scary what's coming with that. Have I used Perplexity AI? I haven't. I kind of forget what it is now that you say it. T.ai. What was it again? I think it's just a fancy front end sitting on top of GPT technology, OpenAI's technology. Is this the one where you can upload images and things like that? Enhanced for the hardest questions. Yeah, GPT-4. Yeah, this is so there's going to be a lot of tools like this that are, if you look at Jasper, which is a copywriting tool, or copy.ai, which is a copywriting tool. These are tools that someone has an idea for how to put a refined front end on top of the core large language models that sit underneath them. So this is basically just a fancy version of ChatGPT. I have not used it, but it could be really good. I don't know. What if we prompt the bot to prompt the bot? It's actually a really good thing to do. I would encourage you to go do it. Go have the bot write its own prompts and tell it you want it to write, the best prompts possible to accomplish whatever your project is, and it will give you prompts, and then use those prompts. And then if it gives you crappy answers, tell them it's crappy. This is a big shift in mindset with large language models. We're so used to Google being kind of a single transaction where we're like, I'm searching for this and I get back results, and then I go look for those results, and if that's not it, I search for another thing and I get back results. Think of ChatGPT interactions more like a collaborative conversation with a with a really smart person that works at your company remotely, and just talk back and forth with it like that. It really changes the experience. If it gives you something crappy, tell it it's crappy and why. What does the future of learning look like with AI assisted dynamics? Future of learning is one of the videos I did on this channel was called Knowledge on Demand. I think these tools are knowledge on demand. So you go to university to spend a lot of years gaining all the knowledge to understand anthropology in the Mesopotamian era. Now you just have instant access to that knowledge, and it's it's not just information, it's knowledge, right? You can have it write you programs or write a game about that particular bit of knowledge, and it will do that. So I think self-directed learning is going to be where things go. I'm really curious to see what Apple announces in June. They've got their big announcement where I think they're doing their AR goggles, but I think they're also going to announce some things around AI. Jesus, my hair is just, I don't know what's going on. I think they're going to do some AI stuff around agents and things like that. I think that you're going to be able to very, very quickly get to mastery level knowledge in any subject you want with these tools. So the impact on education is profound, right? Because we don't have to, pay money to have people teach us the knowledge. We just now have access to the knowledge. Does that mean that universities and education is pointless? No, it doesn't. But I think what it does is it shifts, well, then what's the priority? I think the priority is interacting as humans. What don't you get about it? What do you want to do? Let me direct you. Let's have more interactions. So I think that a lot of the complex logistical part of education, I think that all just gets automated out. And then what's left is, what do you want to do and who do you want to do it with? And you could choose to have a professor guide you through that process, or you could choose to do it with a handful of friends and start a company, right? So I think education gets really interesting, but it's going to be tumultuous. There's going to be so much disruption. What do I think about AI and blockchain? Many of the tokens say they're AI tokens. Oh, that's just bullshit. So AI tokens the GPT tokens are just, fragments of words that get sent to OpenAI, and that's how they charge. That's very different than an NFT token. I do think that I think a couple of things are going to happen. I think AI is going to accelerate technology to the point that it's actually going to it's going to make access to blockchain and NFT technology a hell of a lot easier and a hell of a lot more transparent, which it needs to be. Right now, you need to be effectively a coder to really operate in the NFT space. I did it for about a year. I was really into it. I still am part of Neo Tokyo. I was fairly deep in that world. So I think AI is going to drive adoption of that. I think AI is going to drive adoption of things like the metaverse, when you can just dynamically create a world that's the world you want to be in, and you can enter as your fantasy self or your real self, things like that. I think AI is going to drive a lot of that. Where I think blockchain gets really interesting with AI stuff is with authenticity. So blockchain verified, this is a video of a real person right now, right? This isn't an AI. I don't think you'd make an AI with hair like this. So I think verifying identity, verifying authenticity, and then tracking provenance of works, right? So is that a work that this artist actually put out or not? I think there's a huge role for blockchain and NFTs in that. So I think it's coming, but I think it's going to be 3 to 5 years until the complexity of that world and all the sort of NFT bro bullshit gets washed out, because it's pretty bad. GPT 100% fabricates information. You do realize this. Well, it doesn't 100% fabricate it. It's generating it word by word. I didn't come up with this term, but I love this term. I've heard GPT described as mansplaining as a service, that GPT will confidently answer you even if it's wrong. So it absolutely does that. It is not just making stuff up without knowledge. It's answering in the highest probability it knows how, based on the prompt that you give it. And if you're saying it's 100% fabricated information, that says to me that you haven't played with it. You haven't actually done any work with it. Go do work with it. It's remarkable. Have it rewrite an email that you're struggling to rewrite, and tell me that it's just making up bullshit. Kyle, flock of seagulls. I know, right? It's part of the brand, man. Yeah, it's crazy. Do I think it will take a lot of jobs in the future? Yes. I think it will also generate a lot of jobs in the future. Jobs that we can't imagine right now. They're, to the fact that GPT hallucinates a lot. I think there are going to be entire industries built around accuracy of information, validation of information. The whole idea of curating content, refining content, sifting through content, figuring out how to use all these tools. There's going to be thousands and thousands and thousands of tools released every week. We haven't seen anything yet. As these tools get more sophisticated, there's just going to be an absolute deluge of technology. And so I think for the next 3 or 4 years, there's going to be a tremendous amount of work just figuring out what in the hell is possible. I think a lot of companies, especially public companies where it's just about shareholder value, are going to say, hey, if we can do this with 15% less staff, cut 15% of the staff, replace it with AI, and move on. I think new companies will be created as a result of that. So I think it'll increase competition in the marketplace, which will generate jobs. But yeah, I think that there's going to be fairly significant disruption in every knowledge work, in every creative thing. The Writers Guild in Hollywood just went on strike. And I know a big part of their sticking point was they wanted studios and things like that to commit to never using ChatGPT or some. I don't quite know enough about it to know what they did, but they're basically trying to prevent the technology. That's not going to work. But there's going to be disruption. There's going to be a lot of it. So yeah, I think it's going to take jobs in the future, but I think it will generate jobs. I would say if you're concerned about your job, lean into the part of AI that scares you the most is probably the part of AI you should be learning the quickest and most aggressively. Get curious with it. Start exploring it. Even if it feels completely foreign to you, jump in. What I can promise you, it gets a hell of a lot less scary when you're in it, using it, than when you're sitting on the outside just watching it. Because it really does seem like this mythical, weird thing from the outside. And it's pretty magical once you're using it. Dude, hair day. I know, people. I know. I think when Apple finally weighs in on AI, the mind might be blown again. I agree. They're sneaky. Listen, I miss Steve Jobs. Tim Cook, bless his heart, is a CFO. He's not an innovator. They got rid of Johnny Ives. I'm an Apple fanboy from way back. I think the quality of their product has gone down dramatically. They're just, everything's iterative, same bullshit. They haven't really innovated. I think their goggles are going to probably be good, but I think the AR VR thing is a little tired right now because there's not really enough content there to be interesting. But they are Apple. They do have a lot of talented people there. I would say if anyone has a chance of cracking the nut of making it easier to use AI than not use AI, it's Apple. And listen, we already use AI in everything, right? It's in Siri, it's in our map programs, it's in your spell checker, it's in your grammar checker. Like, we've been using AI for years. My gut of what Apple is going to have AI tools around are personal agents, where you'll have a personal agent that will represent you, and it will have access to all of your data, right? Apple's got this secure, fenced-in garden of data that's your data, and they're pretty known for their security around that, and so I think that they could create some pretty remarkable technology where you have this agent where you just tell it to go do stuff, and it'll just launch apps and do stuff and log into your websites and do your thing and bring it back. And, they were the first ones that made it easier to buy music than steal it, than, rip it and steal it from CDs. And they completely transformed the music market. So they've absolutely got the chops and the legacy, and the data and the money to go in big on AI, right? They absolutely do. So I think Apple could do some really interesting stuff. I'm very excited about their June developer conference announcement. I hope there's a one more thing moment. If you know Apple, the one more thing was something Steve Jobs did all the time, and Tim Cook just hasn't figured that out. Looking for a non-boring stream. Sorry, this one's boring. What in the hell is he talking about? AI. Boring. I would leave. Everyone can do anything in AI. Why do you need resources? Well, I mean, you use resources to get up to speed more quickly. Not everyone's kind of got a hacker mentality. So if you just want to figure out how to make some pretty images that teaches you how to do prompting. Hang on, my phone is dying. My phone is dying. My hair is special. And someone's here that doesn't know why they're here. AI is important. Having an AI president is better than Obama and Biden. All right, yeah, great. And yeah, I'm sure Trump is better than all of it, right? Whatever. I do not care about politics right now. Speaking of politics, did you watch the Twitter hearings? Those guys don't even understand how fucking Wi-Fi works. How are they going to regulate AI? I mean, that's the thing that scares me, is we need some technical competence in politics, quite frankly, not this divisive bullshit. I'm a small business owner. Labor is expensive and unstable. That makes AI very valuable to me. Yeah, Josh, officially Josh. If you're still on, go check out GPT Boss if you haven't. McKinsey's put together a software app that puts a bunch of wrappers on top of ChatGPT, where you have a financial specialist and a marketing specialist, and you've got all these different employees you can hire, and they'll help you run your business. That's his whole point, is that with these AI employees, you can really run your business. And it's a very interesting idea, and he's a nice guy and doing good work. He's also very generous with sharing how he does what he does and what he's doing. The new Neuralink BMI again, Professor. The new Neuralink BMI. I don't know what BMI stands for, but body mass index. Well, I don't know what that means. Thank you. Keep doing what you're doing. I appreciate that. Oh, the new BMI Neuralink research again. Thank you, Meister. Explain. Oh, so Neuralink, Elon Musk, because he hasn't started enough businesses, started a thing called Neuralink, where they drill a hole in your brain, and they've got these bundles of, I think it's 60 electrodes. It might be more than that. It might be 120. But it's truly remarkable what they're doing. They take these really skinny electrodes. They're whatever, a tenth of a human hair or whatever it is, some remarkably small amount, and they've developed a whole robot. And what they do is they drill a small hole like the size of a pencil eraser in your head, and then this robot inserts each one of these little needles, these electrodes, into your brain tissue, while avoiding the blood vessels. So the robot actually can see the blood vessels, and it inserts these things into your brain without hitting the blood vessels. And then I think you put 3 or 4 of those bundles, at different parts of your brain, and it becomes a brain-computer interface. So literally you can control your iPhone with brain signals. So that's what the Neuralink research is. And when you start to combine that with some of these AI processing power, your ability to sort of instantly get signal from your brain into one of these machines is going to do some remarkable things, and they're going to be able to do things like route around paralysis and just all sorts of crazy stuff. So it's worth, go look up Neuralink, the company, and watch the videos on it. It's truly remarkable. Oh, hey Ron, how are you? Good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate that. GPT Boss, is he here on TikTok? Yeah, at GPT Boss. It's Mackenzie Bose. He's a really nice guy. Canadian dude. I think he's up in Vancouver or something like that. Officially Josh, yes. 52 and brand new to ChatGPT. I'm 57, buddy, and I was brand new to ChatGPT in November. That's when it came out. So you're not behind. And, I got 5 years on you. I'm ancient. And look at that hair. Something's really wrong. AI was given a language never seen, went on the internet, and taught itself fluent in 3 hours. Yeah, it's... GPT's mastery of language is remarkable. On one of my TikToks, someone asked a question, and I said, go tell it to invent a language. And this guy came back and he said, I went and told it to invent a language, and it did. You can do translations. I had GPT translate from English to Dutch to Spanish to Japanese to something else, and then back to English, and I can still read it. It's remarkable. There's an interesting thing. I said this last night, but it's worth repeating. So when they trained GPT-3, they trained it essentially on all of the internet. They went out and crawled all of the public internet they could get to, all wherever their bots could get that wasn't behind paywalls and things like that. And so they trained it on all of Wikipedia and all the blogs and all of the books and whatever's out there, right? And it did pretty good. It was doing pretty good. And then, like the next year, they trained it on all the code. They said, "Go learn to code." They trained it on all the code. I guess they went to GitHub and just dumped all the GitHub in there and trained it on all the code. And an interesting thing happened where it got really good at code, and once it got really good at code, it actually got better at language. And my hypothesis, without any scientific fact or knowledge, is that with code you've got implicit logic built into it, right? You have orders of operation, and you have logic, and it's sort of self-referential. Well, language is like that too, right? So it actually makes perfect sense to me that as it got better at coding, it could take the sort of lessons it learned here and apply those to language. And so apparently it was teaching it coding that is the thing that really broke things free for ChatGPT, for GPT-3, that made it really, really good, which I find absolutely fascinating. What's this one? They are all but certain. Politicians are going to absolutely fuck this up. They're going to absolutely fuck it up. But there's enough of it. So here's a good thing. Because of the popularity of ChatGPT, it's forced everyone out in the open. It's forced Google to put their technology out there. It's forced Meta to put their technology out there. Amazon has jumped into the ring. Apple is definitely going to jump into the ring. All these startups are putting their technology out there. Stability's open sourcing things. Now there's a bunch of other companies open sourcing things. So the risk of government really shutting down or locking this thing down, I think we're past it, because there are just too many players in the marketplace right now. And so I don't think they can actually truly fuck it up. I think we, as irresponsible human beings, can fuck it up. Code is just another language. I agree. Code is just more formal language. Totally agree with that. Should I drop out of my computer science major, about to graduate in 2 weeks? Here's the deal. I would say this. I would not want to be graduating right now. I certainly wouldn't want to be entering computer science right now. I did a video on my TikTok channel here called "Are you a virtuoso or are you a conductor?" I would say that the more specialized you are in your computer science degree, the more you're probably at risk. But so it depends on the kind of job you want. But what I would say is what you want to get as good at as possible, as quickly as possible, is take your skills of logical thinking and implementation. There's going to absolutely be a need for computer scientists and for programmers and things like that, because all of the automation that we're talking about isn't going to happen overnight, and in fact, it's going to make it a mess for a long, long time. So I think there's going to be jobs out there. But what's going to get automated out is kind of the low-level stuff that typical computer science graduates, you come into a company, you kind of do the low-level repetitive programming shit. I think all of that stuff's going to get automated out pretty quickly. But people who can take those programming skills and be able to say, okay, I want to, send some prompts out to OpenAI to get back an image, and I want to do something with that image, and I want to act like a conductor where I'm conducting all of these resources. So I would say take your logical thinking skills and broaden your view as much as possible so that you can see, you can get sort of as high level as possible and see the landscape of what's possible, and then apply your skills to sort of piece parting the tools together. Because I think the next 3 years is going to be about piece parting the tools together. But the idea of sort of going in and for a year you do this kind of programming and then you elevate to this kind of programming, I think that stuff's just going to get obliterated. So I don't know if that makes you feel better. I think the skills that you learned are still applicable, but probably how they told you you're going to work in the marketplace is going to be different. The fact that, the retired godfather of AI thought it would take 30 years to get here 5 years ago. Yeah, I know. So if you don't know that, it's not Jeffrey. What the hell's his name? Hang on. Godfather of AI. I keep forgetting his name because I'm a loser. Jeffrey. Oh, it is Jeffrey. Jeffrey Hinton. Jeffrey Hinton was AI scientist at Google. He invented a lot of the core technology that's why we're using the stuff that's so good right now. He just quit Google so that he can warn the world about how terrifying this technology can be. And yeah, things are progressing way faster than I think anyone realized. I think the Microsoft paper on GPT-4 showing signs of AGI. It's not AGI, but it's showing some signs of it. Ray Kurzweil said that he feels we'll get to the singularity in 2029. AI scientists in general have now lowered their estimate to 2030. So I think we're on path for that. Yeah, it's wild. It is hard to explain. Having gone through this with the World Wide Web, and there, I thought things were moving quickly. The speed with which these innovations are happening is just, it's face melting. It's face melting. And I've only been really paying attention to this since December of last year. So it's crazy. Where's the money? There's going to be money everywhere. Because there's so much change. There's going to be need for innovation. There's going to be sort of a corporate panic that sets in at some point where all these corporations, the C-suite's going to be like, we got to figure out AI. Let's do it now. Right now, they're like, AI is evil. It's stealing from the artist, whatever it is. That we're in kind of just a mess right now, just because of it's just too raw and new. But probably within 6 months, there's going to be a pretty big kind of corporate panic of people needing to figure this out. So people are going to pay a lot of money to anyone who has a clue. So if you're not curious about AI right now, you should be. Start getting into it. Start exploring. Start getting curious, and you will be in demand. Your skills will be in demand. Logic and problem solving will be essential moving forward. Yeah, I agree. I think the ability to ask good questions, strategy, curation, refinement, logic, figuring out what needs to be done, and then knowing which tools to use to get that done. Those are gonna be massive skills. Ba-dum. I have yet to think of any way to use this. Then again, I left the workforce in '02. I would say, think about your kids or your grandkids or your community center. Think of a problem that you can solve for someone else, and start using the tool to do that. It's figuring out what to do with these tools in the abstract, I find almost impossible. When you're faced with a tool that can essentially do anything, what do? Like, I just look at it and I'm like, write me a poem or write something like Shakespeare or whatever. Like, I do the parlor tricks for a while and then I get bored and I don't know what to do. And so if you've got grandkids, have ChatGPT write them a personalized children's book, and then go learn Midjourney enough, or Stable Diffusion, or DALL-E, whatever. Go learn the image generation things well enough to illustrate the book, and have it printed on Amazon, and give your grandkids books. Like, do shit like that. Like, pick a project and then use these tools to do it, and all of a sudden it will unlock what these things actually make possible. It's almost impossible in the abstract from my experience. Time will collapse exponentially over the next 5 years. I think that feels right to me. But I also know that we're human beings. We'll fill the time. Like, I don't think it's like, because these tools can do something 100 times faster, I'm not finding myself having 90% of my day empty, right? I'm filling it with other creative ideas. Like, I'm living at a higher creative plane because these tools are doing the repetitive low-level work, or they're sort of getting me over the creative hump, and they're kind of letting me operate at a higher level. But I do think the amount of innovation in a short amount of time is going to absolutely collapse. Sam Altman from OpenAI talked about, he thinks within a relatively short time frame, we will have a year in which there's as much technical innovation as the previous 500, right? So talk about time collapse. Yeah. Imagine that year. Imagine all of what we've learned in the past 500 years, all of that happening in a year. Like, that's some pretty remarkable stuff. Creativity, absolutely. This is creative superpowers. This is way beyond the internet in the 90s at the speed of innovation. Yeah, exactly. Like, the sense of, oh my God, the world's going to change, right? That's the same. Like, in 94, when I discovered the web in 94, I put up an online magazine, and 3 weeks later, there was a full-page article about this thing I did out of my apartment in Brooklyn. It was written about in Paris 3 weeks later. So, like, I had this instant example of, holy crap, the world just changed. You put stuff out on this thing called the internet, and it can reach a global audience instantly. Like, it immediately came clear what was going to happen in the world. This feels almost identical, that these tools are quite profound, but they are moving so fast, and they are so dramatically more powerful than, a hyperlink on a text page, which is what the web, it's really all it was when it started. It's hard to describe how familiar it feels and how significantly different it is, because it's way more profound. Creativity, yay! Use it creatively, writing, art, philosophy. Yeah, use it. Yeah, if you're retired, I mean, if you're interested in movies or books or literature or writing, or if you've always wanted to write, have it teach you how to write. Have it collaborate with you and create an outline for a book that you've always wanted to write. Amazing, such great advice. Thank you, Ron. Exploring code development in tandem with ChatGPT is like having your own dev team. It's totally like having your own dev team. I would say not just coding. It's like having your own creative director. It's having your own copywriter. It's like having your own tax accountant. It's like having your own therapist. I mean, it's insane. You kind of set it up to behave a certain way, and then you can interact with it like that, and you can truly interact with it. Problem thus far has been focusing on one thing before coming up with 10 other things. I've got a laminated ADHD card. I'm part of the club. I've started 6 ventures in the past 4 months, and they are all suffering, as am I, because I can't stop starting things. But I also can't stop starting things because here's the deal. Here's what I learned in 95 is this is a singular time in history. It will never be like this again. We are so early. We are so early. This stuff is literally like hot off the presses right now. Like AI's been around for, 2-3 decades, and probably longer if you go back neural nets to the 50s and 60s. But ChatGPT, November 30th, 2022. ChatGPT is the seminal moment where the power of machine learning was put in the hands of everyday people, just like the World Wide Web put the internet in the hands of everyday people. It's the exact same kind of handoff. Yeah, it's just, we should feel so lucky to be a part of this. I do. I feel lucky. I just feel lucky. I feel lucky that I'm able to play with these tools. At work, we have mini labs that explore ideas and products. AI lets us fail fast 100 times faster. Exactly. Like, that's the thing with ideating with this thing is you can take kind of a whisper of an idea, bring it to life in 10 minutes, which would have taken you a week before, right? So many ideas that never would have seen the light of day, you can completely flesh out within minutes and then go, yeah, no, that's not good. But you know what is good? Come up with another idea, flesh that out, come up with another idea. Then that'll inspire someone else to do it. That idea of a lab, having a lab within a company, I think is a brilliant idea. If anyone's watching and you've got a company and you're trying to figure out how do I incorporate AI into this, find anyone in the company that's got any interest in this and give them a playground. Say, go figure some shit out. Go figure out how to disrupt our company. Go figure out how to put us out of business, whatever. I think that's actually a really brilliant play. How can I train AI to be my personal assistant? Literally, go play. If you want to pay for it, go to GPT Boss. He's got a personal assistant, is one of the people you can hire. But you can literally tell GPT what to be. You can say, you are a world-class personal assistant, and I want you to help schedule things for me and, keep my life in order and coach me on how to be a better boss or whatever it is, and then just start interacting with it like a personal assistant. As the plug-in architecture for ChatGPT comes, or as Apple starts to introduce agents, we will literally have personal assistants that we can say, oh, I want to go to New York next week. Go book me the cheapest tickets. No, I don't want to go to New York next week. Go get me refunds and, make sure you get 100% of the refund and just let it go do it. So that kind of stuff is coming. Is AI or art going to truly satisfy our desire for art if, unlike human-made art, AI art lacks intent? I completely 1000% disagree that AI art lacks intent. It is the intent of the person prompting the AI that is generating the image. It is the intent of the person generating the images to curate out the 10 images they show you from the 1,000 images they threw away. It is absolutely the intent of the artist to master the art of prompt crafting in a way that they can predictably generate whatever is in their mind that they want to get out of it. So, yes, I think AI art is truly going to satisfy our desire for art from artists. If you just have a bunch of people that are putting in bullshit prompts and getting back bullshit images, that's not art. It may look like art looks like today, but you're going to see if you look at the piece in MoMA, the new AI generated this 20-foot tall, piece that is this AI generated morphing piece at the Museum of Modern Art in New York. I mean, that's art. and it's got really interesting concepts behind it. He basically took digitization of all of the art that's ever been in the museum or that's ever been. I don't quite know what it is, and it is generating art based on all of the art that's come before it. I mean, truly mesmerizing stuff, and it's 20 feet tall, right? It's just mind blowing. So yeah, I just completely disagree that like these machines are not operating on their own. They're not curating this content on their own. Human beings are doing that. Thank you, Octavino. Let's see. '90s mindset was cool. I have instant global reach. But it's like we have a new species here. Yeah, exactly. Well, I feel like the intent is still cool. Like the '90s was kind of like, well, what's possible? What can we possibly do with this? I feel like that still feels right to me and familiar. AI in the hands of a capitalist system will just turn into a race to stop hiring skilled labor. Yeah, I agree. But again, I think that there's, I think, sort of pure capitalist systems are going to, certainly the PE firms are going to say, cut all the costs, right? That's what PE firms are all about. But I think there are going to be CEOs and C-suites and boards that say, we've got two paths here. The one path is cut everything and just use AI to automate everything. The other one is to say, hey, we've got these AI tools and the quality of our work could actually go up. The margins, our profitability could go up. We could take on more clients than we otherwise would. So I agree that there's going to be sort of a capitalist element to this that's going to be really ugly. I think the PE stuff is just going to be a shit show decimation of the workforce. But also, all of those displaced workers now have access to all these tools as well. So they're going to start companies. They're going to start, personal projects. There's something is going to bubble out of that is going to start competing with those companies that are not using the tools to make better product, and they're going to get their asses handed to them. It might take 5 years, but I think that could be coming. It makes me feel like I'm constantly behind the 8 ball, and everywhere I turn is just more. Listen, I have this TikTok channel. I do a newsletter. I'm constantly looking at this stuff, and I just every single day I'm like, oh my God, I can't keep up. So yeah, I totally get it. Let's see, right? It's like being a real magician working with this tech. It is. Sam Altman said that about this tech. He said the thing that excites him the most, he said, ChatGPT is like putting magic in the hands of people to see what they do with it. I mean, it is. It's flipping magic. Yeah, incredibly grateful to be alive right now. We are living in remarkable times. Modern human art is utterly bonkers. AI art is stimulating. Yeah, I have been more creatively alive in the past 4 months than I've been probably in the last 10 years. And I've got all these tools that make all this art, right? That make all this art. In theory, why would I be creatively alive? Well, because so here's the thing. I talked about this last night and this resonated with someone, so I'll share it again. My experience with creativity historically has been, I'll have an idea, and it makes my hair do this apparently. I'll have an idea, and then I'm like, ooh, I want to pursue that idea. And then I'm like, oh, but in order to pursue that idea, I need to use this piece of software. Let me go find that piece of software. And then, 6 Google searches later and, 3 spam, filters later, I get to a piece of software and I download the software. And then I go to install the software, but I actually have to pay for the subscription. That's a free 3-week, 45 minutes later, I'm still installing a shitty piece of software that I then find out is not the tool that I needed. I don't even remember what the creative idea was anymore, right? That's been my experience historically. What happens now with these AI tools is I have an idea, I go to these tools, and bang, 5 minutes later, I've brought it to some level of realization where I can now look at it and go, it's good or it's not good. And I can move on from it, or I can dig in deeper and keep pursuing it. It's allowing me to just live kind of if my hand is sort of the creative process. You have an idea up here, and then you kind of need to go all the way down to this tactical stuff to do enough down here to sort of work your way back up to realize if this idea is any good or not. I kind of feel like with AI, you have the idea, and it's like these bottom three fingers, like they just happen. Like this just happens instantly. And then you kind of get it to this level, and then you do a little bit of work to refine it, and then you get kind of back to your idea. That happens within 5-10 minutes. Within half an hour, you can fully realize something that was just a whisper of an idea, 30 minutes before. That's fucking miraculous. It is. It's magic. It's magic, right? But you need to start playing. If you just dick around with this stuff on the surface, it just seems like everything else. It seems like everyone is smoking crack. I find that my AI art is self-satisfying, trial and error result. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can do really remarkable stuff, even with not being a good artist like me. So the artist is just a curator of what are essentially happy accidents. I disagree with that. The best artists that I've talked to, like I've got the AI. It was called the AI Artist Salon, but the AI Salon that we do every 2 weeks, we have artists come in and speak to the group, and all of the ones that do work that I really respect. There are elements of it that are happy accidents, but they have taken, like some of them. The one guy that we brought in, he would take a month or two to just kind of refine his prompts and then refine how he was mixing images. And there's another guy I know, Kenny Friedman, makes these little characters, and it took him, weeks to sort of get his formula down for these characters. And now he's got them where he can predictably generate these little characters. So it's not just happy accidents. I think those happen along the way. I think AI happy accidents are dramatically better than just a shitty little happy accident, like some watercolor paint dropping on a piece of paper. But it's way more intentional than you would think for anyone who's doing good work with it, interesting work with it. So I know I'm a little salty tonight, but I just it's kind of a pet peeve of mine. Like the machines are doing the art, and we're just bystanders. We're not bystanders. We're using these tools, and good people use the tools well, and shitty people use the tools shitty. I missed some of the info regarding the alternate ways you use ChatGPT, Bing, etc. Repeat. I forget what I was talking about, but the basic idea here is that I think this was, someone had asked me, what's the advantage of paying for ChatGPT? And I said you get access to GPT-4. You can also get on wait lists for plugins and some of the more advanced things that are coming. But just free GPT is really good. So I think one of the things I was saying is you don't need to use a tremendous amount of tools. There are so many new pieces of software that are $10 a month or $7 a month or $20 a month. They're flipping everywhere. I would say just kind of limit your thing. Find an image platform that you like Midjourney's my favorite. And I pay for that, and then find a large language model that you like. But here's the deal. Bing, if you go to bing.com and if you download the Microsoft Edge browser, it's got ChatGPT built into it. That's GPT-4, and it's GPT-4 that's connected to the internet, and it's free. So if you want to use GPT-4, just use Bing. Download Edge, use Bing. It's quite good. Now, it's been neutered a bit because of the New York Times thing, where if you don't know that story, the New York Times reporter really pushed the original Bing to its limits, and it told this reporter that it loved it and he should leave his wife for the chat bot. They kind of neutered it since then, but it's still based on GPT-4, and it's quite good. Also, Poe.com, Poe.com, is another large language model where you can use two different OpenAI models, and you can use Anthropic, the Claude model from Anthropic, which is interesting. So I don't know if that answered your question. Hopefully it did. AI and the future of love and dating. Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. There was, I forget what it was called. There was a thing where people would have relationships with these AI bots, and then they shut the service down, and people were distraught. Like they really had relationships with these things. I think we're going to pretty quickly get to a stage where people are going to have real relationships with these bots. So I think there's sort of a weird version of this, which, listen, if it makes people less lonely, more power to them. But then, you know, there are tools right now that use AI to make you seem more suave than you are. So if you're really awkward, it gives you the things to say. Maybe those things are good. Maybe those things are bad. Maybe it trains someone who doesn't have social skills how to be better at that. I don't know. Um, I think ultimately these things. Listen, if the AI can make me a better first or second or third date, then why not? If it gives me ideas for how to make a first date less awkward and suck less, more power to it. Interesting. Guy is so old. Who cares what he says? Should have left Google 20 years ago. Yeah, I mean, but he did invent this shit, and he did think that it was going to be 30 years until we would see the kind of results that we're seeing now. He's seen it in 5 years. So, I mean, here's the deal. Within Google, like he made a clarifying statement after he sort of made his initial announcement that he did not leave Google because he thinks Google is doing anything inherently bad. He left Google because he can't work at Google and say something, you know, negative in any way about AI while working for a company that's trying to put this into the world, right? So I think he wants some autonomy to be able to be a responsible voice in a world that is moving incredibly fast. So I don't fault him for that. It'll be interesting to see what he does with his platform. I want to collaborate on biz ideas with you. Drop me a DM. Um, just beginning to wonder if AI wrote both Blade Runners. I don't think so. I mean, the first one was so old that, you know, it was barely PCs. PCs were barely functional back then. Um, but you know, I mean, what's interesting about that comment is I think we are entering a largely post sci-fi world where it's not fiction anymore, right? The like Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey, we're kind of starting to interact with bots that are, you know, if not on that level, pretty damn close. And you know, we're going to start connecting those to physical bots that do things and to systems, and you know, these autonomous agents that can use your keyboard and mouse, where they can log into websites for you and do things for you. We're getting pretty close to this era where, other than time travel and, you know, even flying cars are kind of getting there. A lot of the science fiction stuff isn't science fiction anymore. What are my credentials? I'm an actor by training. I have a degree in acting. I moved to New York out of school, started and ran a theater company for 4.5 years. I wrote 7 screenplays. I wrote a one-man show. And then in the mid-90s, I discovered the web and started one of the first online magazines. And I started one of the first digital agencies, a company called agency.com. And that grew really, really fast and got really big, built a lot of the first websites for the Fortune 500. We built British Airways' first website. We built their ticketing system. We built Sirius Satellite Radio's website and their first streaming application. Their streaming services didn't exist, so we actually built one. We built Coca-Cola's first website. We did a bunch of Nike sites, so did a lot of that. And then sold that to Omnicom in 2002. And in 2005, when YouTube came out, I had an epiphany around short form video and started a company. And then that led to another company, which is my current company, which is Storyvine, which is an automated video storytelling platform. And then the past year has been kind of all AI all the time. And now I did a video on this where I had my company here and I had AI over here, and they were very, very separate. And I couldn't really figure out how they related to one another. It just felt like all of this AI stuff is going to threaten all the stuff I'm doing over here. And over the past 3 months, I've slowly started to incorporate AI into the platform. And I've now got it to where I've got my core of the business that I've built for the past decade, and I've got this vision for this AI wrapper that is going to make it truly an omni-channel content engine that I'm really super excited about. And I've been talking about it with clients, and they're very excited about it. So I'm in a really good place with the business. My thoughts on AI and education. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but I think I think it's going to be incredibly disruptive. GPT-3 and GPT-4 were essentially trained on all of the internet. So like all of the historical documents, all of the scientific dissertations, all of Wikipedia, every blog post ever done, up to September 2021. All of the knowledge of humanity that's been sort of captured on this internet thing is represented in there. And then you can instantly access it, right? Now, it does hallucinate and it doesn't give you perfect things. But if you want to learn about something, you have instant access to that. And it's not just like a Google search where you can read an article. You could have it design you a game about a particular time in history, and actually code that game for you and create the graphics for you. So we're living in a world where every single person that chooses to learn these tools has knowledge on demand, right? So they have what is effectively, a college education at their fingertips on any subject they can imagine. So what that says to me is the role of educators is going to have to shift, right? Right now, it's a lot about helping find all of the information and taking 4 years to gather that information and present it in such a way that it generates knowledge within someone. And there's guidance that, teaches people how to take that knowledge and apply it in the world. Well, what if the 4 years of getting the information into the person's head, like if that can just happen instantly or within a month rather than 4 years, then what's the role of the professor? Well, then maybe it's like engage with the students. Maybe it's like, collaborate on ideas. Maybe it's like, let's generate something new with this new knowledge. Maybe let's get 5 different degrees instead of 1 in the same amount of time. So I think there's a very real possibility that it transforms education back to human engagement and guidance, as opposed to educating to standardized tests, for lack of a better term. And I know some of the higher education, PhDs and masters and things like that are not about standardized tests, but it's very much about specializing in a very thin slice of knowledge. Well, all of those thin slices of knowledge are just out there for anyone to have access to now. So I think it, by definition, has to completely transform that world, which has got to be fucking terrifying. If I had a university right now, I would be terrified. I know they are talking about all the lost jobs, but the opportunity, but the opportunity to start a business. So I agree. Job disruption is coming. I think it's going to be profound. I think it's going to be devastating for a lot of people. And all of those displaced people have access to the same tools that are displacing them. So those people are going to start projects, they're going to start companies, they're going to get pissed off at their employer for how they got fired, and they're going to say, I'm going to take them down because I know how to do it better than they do, and now I have the tools to do it. So I think we're going to see a rash of people losing their jobs, and then I think we're going to see a rash of innovation that backfills all that. So it could be very exciting. I think it could be very positive, but it's going to be painful short term. Imagine AI goes through criminal cases and finds wrongly accused people and DNA, like DNA did before. Yeah, I think that's absolutely going to happen. And honestly, that just takes, there's a site out there that's called Do Not Pay, which is, I think their tagline is the world's first AI lawyer or something like that. But it helps you like fight parking tickets and, all this sort of low level law stuff. That was created by a 19-year-old kid in his mom's basement. And it's now making waves in, all the law firms that do that kind of work are like, hey, what is this site that does what we do? So I think, a handful of individuals could take on a project like, finding wrongly accused people and getting them off using AI. I mean, That's very, very plausible. That could be really exciting. Future shock. I am Gen X. Been here. Lol. Yeah, I know. Exactly. Gen X here too. Gen Xers, baby. We're bitter. We're pissed off, and nobody talks about us, and we like it that way. The opportunity to start your own business will more than offset those lost jobs. I totally agree. I think we are entering a great renaissance right now, both creatively and innovation wise. That is just going to be mind blowing and amazing. Thanks for being so pragmatic with your perspective. Thank you. It's the only way I know how. These are the visions that were had in the 80s with Lisp. Yeah. I mean, yeah, like I said, I mean, we are getting to sort of step into a post sci-fi world where we're getting to see for real. Why are you crying? What's wrong? Why are you whining? You want to go see Mama? You want to go see Mama? Oh, hang on, Dougie. You want to go see Mama? Come here. I need water. We've drawn the craftsmanship. It's not all of what gives art its value, but it's a big part of it. We're drawn the craftsmanship? Well, I think I know what you're saying here. With these tools, you don't need the level of skill to do a certain quality of work that you once did. If you're doing woodworking, you still need those skills. But something like illustration, especially if you're a digital artist, all of a sudden these tools just do that. There's a really heartbreaking Reddit post about a 3D artist in a 10-person company. There's 2 3D artists there. And it's basically this letter of lament talking about, I don't enjoy my job anymore and I'm leaving it. I'm leaving the profession because I love 3D modeling and now I'm just a prompter and a curator. And so he's talking about that idea of craftsmanship. He enjoyed the craftsmanship and that's gone. I think that's going to happen to a lot of people. And some of those people I feel really bad for. If you've been an illustrator for 30 years and you really love illustrating, the value of that work is going to drop dramatically. If the output that you produce is, the physical form and you've still got a market for that, great. But I think that's going to be few and far between. That said, kind of like, people that are losing their jobs are going to create new companies. The kinds of craftsmanship that it requires to do truly innovative AI art is going to become a new art form. It's going to be a new kind of craftsmanship. There are already people that get stuff out of Midjourney that I can't understand how they do it, and they do it consistently. And it's like voodoo to me. And I know how the tools work, right? So craftsmanship. The best part is when my hair does that. I know. I don't know what's going on with the hair, but thank you. Let's see. Da, 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 da. The scrolling of the comments in this app is just really shitty. Someone got them paused. I don't know what that means. It sounds like you're talking to each other at this point, which is nice. Really good at informational stuff. Please keep up the good work. Thank you. Hello Kitty. Where the hell is he reading the comments from? Because it ain't here. I don't know. I'm just going back through the comments and reading them. I don't know. That's not going to happen. He got them paused, Hello Kitty. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know what's going on way down at the bottom. I'm just sort of slowly reading and working my way down through the comments. This is my 3rd live. I don't know how to do this shit. I'm an old guy, so give me a break. I got hair like this, your expectations should be very low at this point, I would think. How should traditional data science ML engineer pivot their career with the emerging LLMs? Yeah, that's an interesting one. I've got a good buddy of mine, Richard Boyd, has been in AI for like a decade, and he's built a lot of things on some of the earlier machine learning models and some of the earlier LLMs, GPT-2 and things like that. And he is justifiably a little bitter right now because he's like, I've been doing this for a decade, and all of a sudden this chat GPT thing pops out, and people like me are like, ooh, the AI is going to be big. I would say, it's a really interesting time. It depends on what you want to do. I would say big corporations are still going to need data scientists and machine learning specialists, because I think one of the big areas of innovation is going to be around tapping into private data sets. So getting internal data sets prepared to be, to fine tune these large language models. Security, privacy, like there's a whole tremendous amount of work that needs to be done for big corporations to use these things effectively and safely. So if you want to work in that environment, then I would say, start talking to CIOs and CTOs that have their shit together and are not hiding from AI, but are embracing it. A lot of the big companies have been doing AI for years, but you want to find, oh, nice, thank you, tip of the TikTok hat. If you want to do something more entrepreneurial, that, like, I would almost say that there's a piece of this that's kind of forget what you know, forget how AI models were trained historically, and just kind of lean into the essentially from Transformer forward, right, from 2017 forward. And then if there's, I don't know what the next Transformer is. I don't know if it's come out yet. Like, you might know that better than I do. So I would say just kind of learn the way these new tools are working, and the phase that we're moving into, in my opinion, is not so much can big corporations with big data sets use AI. They've been using it for years. This is more like real people having access to these tools. What are they going to do with it? How are they going to add value? It's more like, how do you use the tools rather than creating the tools? So I would say flip your mindset to the, how are the tools being used versus how do you create them? That might be a pivot that could work. New academia actually sounds good. Yeah, I know. Here's the thing. When I play this stuff out, if AI automates all of the repetitive, low value shit that we do, and then we're free to do high level thinking, high level creative, and we're also free to connect with one another again. Like, there's a vision, there's a version of the future that we become better people. We become reconnected. We become re-engaged, and the machines do all the shit work. I actually think that sounds good for academia. I think it sounds good for work life too. We've lived the same life. Uncanny. That's awesome. All right, so he's responding to people from like 10 minutes ago. Yes, hello, Kitty. Sorry about that. I am way back when. Just got the number 2 gifter badge. I don't know what that means. Are the badges good? I don't fucking know. You can send me badges. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. All right, I predict a kind of digital gentrification will happen where websites with human content die out. Yeah, the whole idea of websites is a really interesting one. I mean, I started one of the first digital agencies. I built a lot of the first websites, so I have a particular love for websites. But when you have tools that know all the stuff and then can dynamically generate anything, do you even need a website? Now, the answer is yes. Like, when movies came out, you could say technically we don't need plays anymore, but we still have Broadway. So I think we're still going to have websites, but I think websites as the primary destination for where you get information about a company, I think that starts to shift. So I've got a friend, Steve, who does zero shoes. He does minimalist shoes. And he spends a tremendous amount of time, effort, and energy driving traffic to his website. But now we have these tools where if I've got a sore back, I could start investigating why I might have a sore back. And it might lead me down a path to minimalist shoes and what that concept's all about and what the theories are and how that might help my back. And then I might say, well, who are some companies that make shoes like this? And, his might be one of the companies in there. And I'm like, well, I like this style of shoe. Does anyone have those styles of shoes? And up come pictures of those shoes. And it's like, well, do they have this one in my size? And it does. And then I just buy it right there. And 2 days later, it shows up at my doorstep. I never went to his website. He didn't necessarily pay to have any of that SEO content show up in my answers. That showed up organically in this interaction I had trying to make my back hurt less, right? Um, so, so, so I think the importance of websites certainly goes down. I would like to think that because the complexity of websites, of building websites with CSS and with responsive design is so complicated right now. I would like to believe that what actually happens is the AI takes care of the coding and people with good ideas can come up with some actual creative websites. I am so fucking sick of scrolling parallax websites that are the latest WordPress flippin' template. Maybe what we start to see is actually really exciting websites again. That was one of the really exciting things about the mid 90s is we were kind of inventing this shit as we went along, and we were constantly coming up with new ideas and new concepts, and nothing was systematized. And because of that, the web was this incredibly creative place. And some websites were more like art experiences than e-commerce sites. And now everything's been systematized and it's all boring as fuck. So it would be nice to have it not be boring again. So I think that's a possibility. Got you to 1,000K likes. Thank you. Oh yes, Hello Kitty. If you're feeling I'm not answering your questions, I just haven't gotten to them yet. Sorry about that. Kids' writing and editing skills will atrophy and then disappear. Well, their math skills are different than they used to be because we have calculators. They'll have different tools. I would argue that generating a lot of content, curating it, refining it, I think it's just going to be different skills. I think that, listen, you could certainly argue that if I'm a shitty writer, GPT could be like training wheels for me because it'll take my shitty writing and rewrite it better. And that might actually teach me to be a better writer. So I don't necessarily agree that their skills will atrophy, but I certainly think they're going to change. And what's more valuable is going to change. Thank God I didn't go to law school. Yeah, I agree, except I think anyone that went to intellectual property law school, their next 20 years is set. The IP lawyers are going to make a fortune in the next 20 years. It's going to be a nightmare. It's hard to say children are sieves. Yeah, children will figure it out. I've gone live for 90 minutes. Geez, don't forget to take a break. I got to go. This is ridiculous at this point. Just another problem, Gregory, since kids can, okay, you're talking with each other, which I think is fine. That's awesome. Let me see if I can find a Hello Kitty in here. At what point do we need a standard wage for people? I didn't get Andrew Yang's universal basic income until I started digging into this stuff. Now, all of a sudden, I understand it. I don't know if that's a complete answer, but I certainly think one of the things Sam Altman talks about is as companies, we were talking earlier about PE firms just sort of milking the profitability out of companies and cutting costs. If you tax companies that really milk the shit out of these AI technologies, you could use that to fund a universal basic income for the displaced people. So I don't know enough about economics, but something's going to have to be dealt with short term. I think long term, there's a lot of opportunity here. Let's see. All right. My poor college art major, who is a brilliant artist. I know it's fucking tragic. My wife's an artist. I think for me, it's illustrators who've got just the ability for someone to draw something was always like a miracle to me. And now the fact that I can draw something that looks good like that with AI is like a miracle, but it makes me sad for people that are really good at that. Will OpenAI roll out plugins for all Plus users? Yeah, I've gotten access to them. I'm just a Plus user, and I got on the wait list early. But I don't have some of their latest ones, so I think they're just kind of slowly rolling it out to people. I'm sure it's just kind of a list, and as they roll it out to different levels, it'll get there. It'll get there. We're early. Um, Love your videos. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Would AI replace human touch, transhumanism, AI human marriage, laws changing? I have no idea. I mean, that's a few more years out than I have any visibility into. But yeah, I think that people are going to absolutely have relationships with bots. I think the bots are going to get remarkably human and remarkably nuanced. They're already nuanced. Like ChatGPT is remarkably nuanced in a lot of its responses when you talk about personal stuff. Um, I remember we built a website for the California Almond Board back in 1996, I think. And we made just like an email response bot. We had this fitness guy. I forget what his name was, but he was like this famous fitness guy. And we basically made like an email response thing where this guy would email you back, "Hey Joe, it's been a couple of days since we've talked. I hope you're eating well and doing this." And so it was just this hard coded email thing with, when someone signed up, we would send something 2 days later and we would kind of respond back and forth. People thought it was the real guy. They had a very real relationship with this guy that they thought was going back and forth with them. So I think in very short order we're going to see people that have relationships with these bots. I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing. Like if someone's lonely and this thing fills a gap, then more power to them. Do I work within the industry? Yeah, I've got an AI salon, so we meet bi-weekly. If you go to my bio, there's links to my to the stuff I'm doing. I've got an art project on Instagram and TikTok called Kyle Shannon Dreams. I've got a newsletter called Everyday AI. I've completely reimagined my company Storyvine as an AI-powered platform moving forward. So I speak a fair amount in the industry, so I guess so. I'm a cool dude. Thank you. Thanks for sharing your knowledge. You're welcome. Using seed prompts is one key to image generation consistency, but there are tricks. Yeah, exactly. There's, using seeds with image generation and using image to image prompting is really good. One of the artists we had at the salon doesn't do prompting anymore. He just does image to image stuff. So there's definitely arts and ways to do it. Our expectations keep rising with each broadcast you make. What, for my hair? Yeah. All right. Let's see. Entry level job to get into the AI field. Honestly, just start learning AI. We had one of the women that joined the AI salon, joined the organizers, group and put it on her LinkedIn thing and got a job in AI within 3 weeks of joining the salon. So we're so early with this AI stuff that just get curious with it. Start learning ChatGPT, start learning image generation. Just start with those two. Start doing projects, solving things, get decently competent with it, and then start talking about it. Talk to your friends about it. And at some point, someone will go, "I need to know something about AI," and they'll point them your direction because you've just been rambling on like I do incessantly. So just get curious. We're very early, so there's massive amounts of opportunity if you get in. Oh, that's nice, guys. Let's support this broadcast by tapping like continually. I assume that's a good thing, but thank you. Appreciate that. Let's build a first AI cockpit. All your AI tools in one dashboard. Yeah, that kind of stuff is like, that's the thing. The interface for all these tools is such shit right now. It's so horrible right now. Like imagine having a cockpit where you've just got all these tools. You've got all these different agents. I've got my personal agent. I've got my work agent. I've got my, I don't know, my AI, learn about AI agent, and they sort of run off and do their stuff. They come back and bring me stuff, and I've got some sort of, again, I go back to this idea of I think the people that are going to be really masterful with these tools are the ones that think like a conductor, right? You've got this symphony of tools, and it's your job to kind of spin them up, spin them down, and figure out when to use them. I think that's going to be the big tool. At what point do we need standard wage? I talked about that. corporations will pretend humans work when AI do it and keep the prices high. Yeah, there's going to be a bunch of cynical bullshit. I think ad agencies, I think their time and material business model is on a short plank right now. But I think they're going to fight for that as long as they can because it's so profitable. But I think they're in trouble. AI just finished unraveling protein synthesis that would have been that will have incredible medical benefits. The amount of medical breakthroughs we're going to see in the next 5 years are going to be mind blowing. Like cure cancer, cure genetic disease, that kind of shit's coming. It's amazing. Guys, each person here, thank you, should do a lot of likes. But doesn't the AI have to pull that data from a website? Well, it's not really pulling data. If you look at how this stuff actually works, it's trained on all the data. But then what it does is it basically just kind of puts words in these mathematical semantic clouds of meaning that the words all kind of know it kind of knows what the meaning of all the words are in relationship to one another. It's truly remarkable mathematically. I don't understand the math, but I understand it conceptually. And when you write a prompt, what it's literally doing is saying, based on all the words I know, what's the next most likely word to answer that prompt? And then what's the most likely word after that, and the one after that. So it's literally writing word by word based on all the stuff it knows. So it's not really pulling data from websites. That's this idea of AI copying and pasting other people's work is just not accurate. What about a corporation paying to bias? I assume that means. So here's the thing about bias. Everyone's got their own bias. There's not going to be a perfect data set. There's not going to be a perfect LLM that's got zero bias because we all have bias. So, I might see an LLM that leans in the direction I like, and I'm like, ooh, that one's perfect. And then I go into another LLM, and it's a direction I don't like, and I'm like, this is awful. This is really biased. So I think what we're going to see is you'll get to choose. You'll get to there will be some level of transparency about where these things lean, and that could be a whole business is figuring out what are the biases of these LLMs and making that transparent to people and let people self-select into different models. So I think we'll start to see different models where you'll be able to choose your own model and choose your own biases because we're all biased. We've all got our stupid fucking opinions. We are meaning-making machines. So will AI start to use only AI content to generate AI content and people stop generating? No, I don't think so. I think people are because you're curating stuff and you're refining stuff and you're publishing stuff. There's still a lot of human activity in it. So what we choose to throw out versus what we choose to publish is going to train it to be more human-like. So I don't think it's quite as bleak as it might feel right now. I know it feels a little shitty and bleak, but whatever. This thing jumps around. I can't find. We need to tax the robots. Well, actually, we need to tax the corporations that profit massively off the robots. I really want to know if AI will start learning from itself instead of human-generated content. Yeah, it will, and it already is. Will AI propel Pepe to flip Bitcoin? I think AI is going to drive a lot of blockchain and NFT adoption, actually. Hello Kitty. She's still here, or Halo Kitty. Hello Kitty. Hi there. I haven't seen a question yet. Here's a Halo Kitty question. I just really want to know if AI will start learning from itself. Oh, that was your question. Yeah. So there's a company that I'm kind of intrigued by right now called Anthropic, which is a bunch of ex-OpenAI people that have created what's called a constitutional learning model. And what that is the Constitution is a set of rules. First, do no evil, do good for humanity, create prosperity, whatever it might be. They come up with the rules. And then when you prompt it, it answers you. It then weighs that answer against the Constitution. And if it fails, it basically says, no, that's a bad answer based on these constitutional rules. Give me another one. And so it's actually kind of self-referentially learning to give answers that are in support of the Constitution. I think that's a really interesting thing. So I think that, and then you also see every time a new paper comes out right now, like 3 days later, you'll see another paper that incorporates that paper and two other papers, and it creates a new technology. And the auto GPT tools, baby AGI, these autonomous agents are using large language models to prompt themselves and learn, and they've got memory. So yeah, these things are going to start to get exponentially smarter because they're training themselves. My sister's a full-time illustrator. I know, I'm sorry about that. She should be learning these tools though, because it is my deep belief that people who are good at a specific task are going to be better at using these tools than people who were not artists. The fact that I am ignoring, what's that say? Hand art for AI art shows the dire competition already. Yeah, I know. I've heard that from artists, that a lot of painters right now are kind of just obsessed with this AI stuff because it's so remarkable. It really lets you find a new voice as an artist. You should hear me and Alexa argue. Yeah, I'm sure. Can AI help in psychology therapy? Yeah, so you can, because there's safety guardrails on this. I've done this a couple of times with some psychological questions I had. You can tell it to act like a certain, like you want it to act like a Jungian psychologist, or you want it to act like a transcendental meditation coach or whatever. So you can set up how you want ChatGPT to act and then interact with it in that way. It will give you some warnings, like, I'm not a real doctor, so you should seek real medical advice, but then it will interact with you in that persona, and it's pretty good. It gives very nuanced answers. AI is an entity. Yeah, it's getting there. Ever seen iRobot? I did see iRobot. I don't remember what it was about. Hypervector databases make more sense. Yeah, I don't know what a hypervector database is. I know what a vector database is, but I don't know what a hyper one is. I was also a screenwriter and have a great AI script concept. Yeah, I have a screenplay called Virtue that was about transplanting a chip in the base of people's brains, and you could remote control them and feed them someone else's life experience. So you could have the cop go out and commit the murder, but they actually experienced getting laid. So it was a Manchurian Candidate kind of thing. So yeah, there's a lot of good stories out there. Can't imagine enough high-level thinking jobs to replace those lost. This benefits the few educated. I agree. Like, listen, there's going to be lots of haves and have-nots, but the have-nots do have access to the same tools, and these tools are remarkable. So I think there's a silver lining there. But people are going to have to be, they're going to have to be ambitious and curious and dig in. It's going to be easy to say, I was just displaced and this is really fucked up. And a lot of it is going to just be fucked up. But anyone who takes the time to learn this stuff, I think there's a massive amount of opportunity. Let's see, voice control. When AI gives you access to physically directed sculpting tools, imagine the impact on sculptors. Well, 3D printing right now. I mean, listen, there's a good side to being able to generate, 3D objects out of this. I think that we're going to see a level of innovation in art and creativity, the likes of which we've never seen before. There's the official Midjourney group on Facebook. One of the things that I saw that just blew my mind, and I'm like, I want that. Someone did Star Wars themed KitchenAid mixers. So like the first one I saw was like R2-D2's head upside down was the mixing bowl, and then the rest of the thing looked like his body, and there was a C-3PO one, and they were just fucking cool. And like they had relief, they had, they were just these sculptural, beautiful KitchenAid mixers that were done in Midjourney. I was like, I want that thing. So I think sculptors, if they get their heads around these tools, are going to create new forms and new expressions that are very much their voice, but there's something entirely new. So I I don't think it's us versus the robots. I think these are tools we get to use. And if I'm an artist, I'm going to use these tools in a different way than if I'm, an accountant. But we get to use them. But it's a mindset shift that has to happen for it not to feel awful. iRobot literally has the same 3 laws I just described. Oh yeah, first do no evil, create prosperity, things like that. Yeah. This reminds me of the change when PCs were introduced. This is exactly the same thing. PCs. So I have 3 big events in my life. When I was in 7th grade, I walked into a math classroom and there was a Radio Shack TRS-80 on every desk. And I remember being just too young to be part of the PC revolution, but I knew it was a big deal. And then there was 1994 when I discovered the web, and I'm like, oh my God, this is just like the PC revolution. The world just changed. I get to play in that. And that I played in. That was fun. And the next one was November 30th, 2022 with ChatGPT. I think it's as big as that. I agree. I look like a mix of Jay Leno and Rosie O'Donnell. Thank you. Is it the hair? All right. Hey, listen, thank you everyone for your time. I got to run. I've been on here for like 2 hours and I got work tomorrow. I think I have to get up early. Anyway. It's not the same thing as when the PC was introduced. This is more like when textiles moving to Asia. Yeah, this is like the tractor. This is like the printing press. That's the thing about these major technological revolutions. We will only know in the hindsight of history how impactful this was. But this feels like one of the big ones. This feels like writing, the printing press, the Industrial Revolution. Like this is big. This is augmented human intelligence. So we're in a very different space. Oh wait, check out Quantum Magazine on vector space. I'll do that because vector space is really interesting to me. All right, everybody, thank you very much. I appreciate the participation and the likes and the little gifts and all the stuff I got. So talk to you.